Welcome to episode 84 of the World Triathlon podcast. Thanks as always for tuning in. This episode comes out just as the Pan American Games triathlon competition is firing up in Viña del Mar in Chile. You can check out all the racing on www.panamsportschannel.org. And that is just before the final World Cup of the 2023 season, also in Viña del Mar, coming up on the 12th of November. That will wrap up a 14-strong World Cup circuit from 2023, across which we've witnessed a hat-trick of wins from the resurgent Gwen Jorgensen, the brilliance of Bianca Seregni and the likes of Tim Helwig and Miguel Hidalgo, Nicole van der Kay and Anahi Alvarez, all in full flow amid countless other top-notch performances. And you can watch them all back on triathlonlive.tv. But for now, we get to find out about a rising British talent who stormed to gold in Miyazaki, having already put in some eye-catching displays over the last 2 years. That's just 2 years that he's been in the sport. This is a name you might be hearing a lot more from in the next 12 months, so I hope you enjoy the episode. On this episode of the World Triathlon podcast, we get to catch up with an athlete who has definitely made the most of his final World Cup opportunities in 2023, Hugo Milner. A scholarship to Harvard saw him head to the USA back in 2017, where it's safe to say his running skills were able to develop in one of the best environments for talent to bloom. Then a pivot to triathlon in 2021, some serious miles in the pool, on the bike, and of course in the shoes later. And in his fourth World Cup last weekend in Miyazaki, Hugo sighed through the field across the 10-kilometre run, making up 1 minute and 12 seconds to win the gold. He's 25. He's the latest talent to come through the British talent pool. He is Hugo Milner. Hello, Hugo. How are you? Where are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm currently back home in Derby. Just got back from Japan 2 days ago, so just getting back into training now, and yeah, just recovering from jet lag as well.
Yeah, let's start on that start line in Miyazaki. It was a beach start. I was just watching it back. Like, everyone looked like they were a little bit wary of the sort of angle of that beach start.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange start because we didn't really start on the sand. We started on the pontoon and then jumped kind of down onto the sand. And there was a good kind of, maybe, I don't know, half a meter drop. And so it doesn't sound a lot, but when you're, fighting with 50 other guys to get to the sea as quick as possible, and there's a small drop in front of you, you do have to be careful. But it was also tough because we had the course recce the day before cancelled because there was a storm. So none of us had actually swam or biked the course. And for some people that was okay because they'd done this course previously, but for someone like me, it was my first time. So obviously I knew the course in my head from looking at the maps, but I hadn't actually started on the course. So yeah, it was my first time starting on that beach when the gun went off. So,
and it was I guess 20 seconds back after the first lap of the swim, and about possibly double that heading out onto the bike, right? And also, I'd just be quite interested to, like, in Tongyong, what did occur on the bike? Just to rewind to that slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough because going into the race, I felt so fit, and I felt like my swimming, my biking, my running was all going really well. And yeah, I just struggled in the water, really. Didn't have the best of swims, but didn't really have a terrible swim either. I mean, there was people behind me that eventually made the front pack, and so it was definitely within my grasp of having a good race despite the swim. But I just had a really bad transition. The course in Tongyong meant that it was only about 20 or 30 meters from the swim exit to the actual transition rack, especially for me because I was lower ranked, so I was towards the back. So I only had about 20 or 30 meters to unzip my wetsuit and get everything off, and then get onto the bike. And yeah, I think that's a weakness of mine at the minute. I need to improve my transitions, and it seems crazy that transitions, which are only a few seconds, can change the outcome of a race. But for me, I was actually 2 seconds off making that kind of main chase pack. I could see them in front of me, and I knew that if I didn't get on the back of them, then that'd be the race over. So yeah, I just needed to have a good transition and get out really hard, which I didn't manage to do on the bike. And then I spent the whole remainder of that bike leg just by myself. I think there was maybe one other athlete sat on my wheel, but yeah, I ended up putting down quite a lot of power on the bike in terms of my average watts, and so um, I think it was a lot more than what most people would have done in the front pack. So um, yeah, it's a strange race to be so far back yet putting in so much effort.
And in only your third World Cup, that's a hell of a position to find yourself in. Back to the Miyazaki coming off that bike where, yeah, things had obviously gone better than in Tongyong, but it was still, you were third pack, weren't you? I think like a minute and
Yeah.
12 coming out of T2. Yeah, you and Lasse going through the gears kind of together, right? I don't know how close were you coming off the bike to him, and then how quickly did the two of you just sort of lock into sync and start like picking through people?
So we were in the same bike group together, coming into T2. I'm not sure if he was ahead of me coming out of T2. I'm pretty sure he was behind me,
Right.
because I just went for it on the run, and yeah, I don't think anyone paced me. I was kind of just leading it the whole way, and I didn't actually realize until watching it back that Priester was sat behind me for most of it into the last lap. Um, so yeah, I think I definitely did him a favor there by pacing him the whole way pretty much. But yeah, I felt really strong on the run, so I didn't really feel like I needed anyone to kind of push the pace for me or pace it. I just felt comfortable knowing that I can do a fast 10K, and I don't really need anyone to kind of pace it for me.
Yeah.
That was my third Olympic distance race ever. So
Yeah.
um, in terms of running 10K off the bike, I've only done it 3 times before. So the first time was in Katira at the start of this year, and um, I felt okay on that run, but again, it was a bit of a bad swimming bike. And then in Valencia a few months ago, I haven't practiced my nutrition when it comes to doing a 10K off the bike, and so I had a gel on the bike and I just got a massive stitch, and so I had to walk parts of that 10K, which was really bad. And then coming into this race, I was like, I don't want to make that same mistake again. So it was kind of weird because I haven't really practiced in training taking the gels, and so this time I just took the risk of not having any gels, and just seeing if it works or not. So I just had a bottle of water in my bottle cage, and yeah, I mean, in terms of energy, I felt fine. I got a little bit of a stitch on the run, but I think it was caused by dehydration more than anything. But yeah, I think going forward, I need to practice taking gels, and practicing more running off the bike.
And then Ricardo, yeah, you shelled off Lassa. Well, together you reeled in Dylan. I mean, it was still over 20 seconds going into the last lap, I think. He obviously kind of was cooked. And then Batista had the penalty to serve. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there it was, like that kind of very emotional finish for you. When you think about it's your fourth World Cup and you've only been doing the sport for 2 years and you've just got the gold, like all those things swirling through your head. You're obviously not short of self-confidence, but there must have been a bit of disbelief over that final when you found yourself out front.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been in that situation so many times this year where I've kind of had a bit of a bad swim, or haven't made that main chase pack, and then I've kind of thought, is the race over? And then yeah, I just thought, like, like any other race, I'm just going to give it a go, especially over 10K. I know I can make up probably about a minute or so on some of the top guys. So, um, yeah, I just went for it, and I thought if I finish 20th or 10th or wherever, and then so be it. We've just got to work on that swim and bike over the next year, and yeah, luckily this time I was able to catch up to the leaders. I roughly knew coming off the bike that the gap was a minute and 12, and so I thought it's definitely possible to catch up. And there was someone shouting out splits each lap, and I think after the first lap I'd taken something like 20 or 25 seconds out of the leaders. And so I was doing the calculations in my head, thinking, there's three more laps. If I keep doing this, then I'll catch them by the end of the third lap. And so that's kind of what happened. And yeah, it wasn't until the last 2K that I caught Dylan. So yeah, a little bit shocked when I initially caught him, because I could have eased up once I got onto the podium. Once I was in that top three, I could have probably just jogged it in and they've been really happy with that. But then there's just something inside me where I was like, I just want to go for the win. So I just went for it, and yeah, luckily it paid off.
And a bit of an outpouring of everything you've put yourself through over the last 2 years to get to that point, right? You sort of alluded to the stresses and strains of taking on a new sport and trying to get to the top of it only 2 years ago. How have you found that journey? How hard has it been? And you said you're still kind of training now. Surely you're allowing yourself a little bit of time off as well, aren't you, into this period?
Yeah, so I think the last 2 years it's been a bit of a crazy journey. Lots of highs, lots of lows. I think it was a big shock to go from running to triathlon, and up in my swimming and my biking to the insane hours that triathletes train. With running, you're probably not doing any more than 10 hours a week of training. And then yeah, in triathlon, the last 2 years or so, I've kind of been doing 30 to 35 hours a week. And in the UK as well, during the winter, it's just not the best place to train, when you're getting up at 5:30 in the morning, swimming for 2 hours, and then up until last year I was working full time as well. So I was pretty much torturing myself by swimming for 2 hours and going to work, and then doing something during my lunch break, and then going back to work, and then training in the evening, and then just repeating that every day. And so yeah, it's been really tough, but yeah, getting the result on Saturday was yeah, it just made all the sacrifice worth it.
There was definitely something Max Stapley said in the Talking Triathlon podcast last week about or recounting the tale of him just chucking his bike into a bush on a December morning of like, just couldn't be doing it. And yeah, it's sort of Richter's grin of Instagram life. It's quite good to have that refreshing just like image of someone triathlete just like hossing the bike. And yeah, that was something you could relate to, was it?
Yeah, definitely. Even just today, I've just come back from a 3 hour ride, and it's been the first time I've ridden in the UK since September. And it's chucking it down with rain, covered in mud. My bike's an absolute mess. And it's probably not even that bad today. Wait until it gets to January, February time. It's just it's pretty miserable. But I think if you're motivated and you have that drive, then you'll do anything to be successful. So you kind of look at the Brownlees training in Leeds all the time. It worked for them, so if they can do it, then why can't anyone else?
And you're based out of Nottingham at the moment, right? So you're living in Derby, training in Nottingham, is that?
Yeah, so I swim in Nottingham. I swim at the Uni of Nottingham. There's a group there. And then I kind of do a mixture of rides between Nottingham and from home. And then for running, I kind of mostly train by myself. There's a few athletes that are based locally in Derby that I train with. And so, yeah, I'd probably say most of the time I'm by myself, but um, for the swimming, I definitely need a group to train with. So it's really important that I go to Nottingham every day and swim in a group, just to try and improve my swimming. There's Chris Perham. We had Barclay Hazard until a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a few good upcoming juniors: Solomon, Crawford Smart, Ollie Mills. Yeah, there's a decent group going. So yeah, it's really good to train with those guys. They definitely push me on.
And it definitely felt like, from some of the sort of comments on social media and stuff after it felt like there was a lot of people that felt this was coming, that had it in you, that weren't that surprised that run that you were able to deploy.
Yeah, I read some of the comments, and yeah, it was really heartwarming to see. And yeah, I think at the start of the year, I saw, I don't know who posted it. It might have been Beth Potter or someone, but I definitely saw it on social media where they posted a load of statistics about triathlon. And there was one statistic where it said 50% of all the World Cups and World Triathlon Series races since 2010, of the fastest runner has gone on to win in 50% of those races. So I knew this year that I was fairly confident that in some of the races I was going to be the fastest runner. And so I thought, statistically, if I do 10 races this year, statistically I should really win five. But even if I don't win five, I might win one. And if I win
Yeah.
one, then I'd be happy. So um, I wish it would have happened a bit sooner. I left it right to the last race of the season. So yeah, I'm glad I finally got it. But yeah, it's just a coincidence because last year I'd basically done the same thing where I didn't really have the best of seasons. And then on the last race of the season, I did a European Cup and it was my first one and I won. And it was literally the same date last year, pretty much. And then this year, like I've been up and down throughout the season, and last race of the season, I managed to win. So yeah, maybe if we can, I don't know, put a big race at the end of the season next year, then that'd be good.
And you've been running the numbers. I get it's interesting. You and I guess, yeah, Beth, Alex, Georgia, Taylor Brown as well. I mean, you cut your teeth on the cross country circuit as well, right?
I mean, I've always done cross country from a young age. I think I started when I was about 7 or 8.
Mm.
So I'm used to, those cold, dark winter nights, running in the mud around fields. That's kind of just like what I'm used to.
Is that
And
like
even though,
and honestly speaking, are they
Mhm.
like good memories? Were you the kind of kid that was like, all right, like a Labrador chasing a ball, I can go, I'm up for this? Or were there sort of moments of being dragged out?
Yeah, I mean, my parents always supported me and taking me to events and taking me to training, but yeah, it was all kind of self motivated. I always wanted to go and race and run, and I think it does help when you're good at something and you have a passion for it. Um, and I was doing so many sports when I was younger, and cross country just seemed to be my best one. So yeah, I've kind of just stuck at it, and yeah, I think my season's ended now, but I'm hoping to do some cross country races soon. I've just entered the Liverpool Cross Challenge in 3 weeks' time, so that would be the trials for the European cross country. So yeah, hoping to get back into training fairly soon and yeah, have some good fun on the cross.
Because it's also, you know, you're noted for these run splits. Alex Yee obviously came through it, but you're such an incredibly different shape, right? You're very tall, quite a lot
Mhm.
broader.
Yeah.
It is fascinating, isn't it? How the body
Mm.
types of triathlon just vary so massively.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was always the skinniest kid. I was relatively small until maybe 16, 17. and then in the space of a year, I just shot up, and um, it's crazy to think that I'm 6'4" now,
Oh, you are
because
6'4".
yeah.
Talking to someone after. I was like, yeah, he must be about 6'4". Now he can't be that big, but yeah, that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got growing pains in my knees, big bumps, from where I just shot up so quickly.
Mm.
Um, and then, yeah, even until 18, 19, I was very slim. And then I think just in the last few years, especially with doing more swimming, I've kind of put on a bit more muscle. And yeah, it's just yeah, crazy to look at my body and my image now compared to a few years ago. And yeah, it's difficult because I think in running, um, you kind of do want to be slightly on the lighter side. And I think right now, like if I was just a runner and I was this size, then I could probably do with losing a few kilos just to run a bit faster. But for triathlon, I mean, I need to have that kind of body weight for the swim, and maybe even the bike. And it hasn't really slowed me down too much on the run. But yeah, it's interesting to see all the different body types. You look at Alex G compared to Christian Blumenfeld, it's just completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So I don't think there is a um, one size fits all body type for triathlon. You get people from all different shapes and sizes.
You might just have to get used to people tucking in behind you on the on the run. Have a few like Lasse Friesters tucking in behind and using you.
Yeah, it
So
definitely makes a difference.
in 2017, you went to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
This was straight out of school, and there was a scholarship there because of like the running that you were
Mhm.
doing at that time, and they saw that talent in you and wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy that that was 6 years ago now. But yeah, I applied for America way back in 2015 when I finished my GCSEs. And then, yeah, I was in contact with the coach from Harvard. And yeah, I just set on going there, and I had to take all the exams and the SATs and sorting out visas and um, sorting out the application process and all of that. It was all really stressful.
But this was
So
without. This was, but you applied before and then did your A levels and then went, or
yeah, yeah, and then
yeah.
I did my A levels, and then yeah, I went after I finished, and then yeah, I was meant to be there for 4 years, but unfortunately because of COVID, I was out there for 2.5 years, and then the last year and a half was online from home. So I came back to the UK, and then the last year and a half was all remote.
Ah, you were part of that generation that had it sort of completely impact you in crazy ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. And yeah, it was really painful to have to come back so early. But yeah, I think the most frustrating part was the fact that I wasn't able to run as quickly as I would have liked. In terms of that last year and a half because of COVID, I, didn't really race over cross country or the track, and so a lot of my PBs now I feel like aren't really representative of what I can actually run. And then now starting triathlon, I just haven't had the time to do the track races and improve my PBs from a few years ago. So I know lots of people are always saying, "Oh, you run 13:44 for 5K," but then I'm like, I reckon I could probably go faster if I did a track race, but I just haven't done one for 2.5 years. And I think if I had that final year at university, I would have been in the collegiate system in America where the top guys are running sub 13:20, if not faster. I probably would have been in those races, being pushed, and getting those fast times, but I just missed out on all of that. So yeah, it's definitely frustrating.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I think a lot of the races that I've been doing on the track, I'm kind of not necessarily winning, but I'm nearing the front of the race, and the pacemaker might drop out after 1 or 2K, and so it's very different running a 13:40 in a race like that than running in a Diamond League race or an even bigger race where you're dragged along. And I'm pretty confident that if I was put in a fast race like that and I could just hang on at the back, there's no reason why I can't run sub 13:20 compared to front running a 13:40 something. So yeah, it's something I'd like to give a go at some point in the future, but I think right now triathlon's a priority. But yeah, we'll see, because my main aim is to make the Olympic Games, and obviously with Paris coming up, I want to qualify. But with triathlon being the way it is with the qualification system, it's probably too late for me to qualify. So yeah, we'll see. If I can't qualify for triathlon, then I might have to give it a go on the track and go for the time. So we'll see what happens.
Amazing that, yeah, after only 2 years you've already got next year's Olympics in your sights. That I hadn't appreciated that COVID had curtailed your kind of time out there in Harvard and you'd had to come back early. So in a sense, had you stayed there for that period of time, then you wouldn't have found triathlon when you did, right?
Yeah, I had the option to take a gap year and then go back to Harvard the year after, and then I could obviously race on the track and have another year. But at that time, I knew that I wanted to pursue triathlon, and I just didn't really want to leave triathlon for another year. I thought at the time I was 23, and so I thought realistically I need to start training for triathlon now. And so yeah, I didn't take a gap year. I just trained from home, and then started triathlon in 2021.
And having like been somewhat removed from the whole British triathlon, obviously the Brownlees have, Johnny may well still make it for Paris, but that kind of era is very much moved on. And now Alex is obviously a standout, but behind him, there's now this like huge raft of talent that all appears to be kind of having their moments in the sun. And then it's quite an interesting stage at the moment, isn't it? Like just looking at the Miyazaki lineup, whether it's Sam Dickinson or Max Stapley or Jack Willis was in there, wasn't he? And then, like you mentioned, Barkley earlier, Ben Dykstra obviously coming back, and there's so many in there, and so many of those have had great results, and all of them also would love to be knocking on that Olympic door, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so stacked right now in the UK for triathlon. I was having dinner after Miyazaki with Jack Willis, Harry Leilu, Cameron Main, Sam Dickinson, and we've all got top 5 in World Cups this year. And so in terms of qualifying for the World Triathlon Series next year, I think we are all eligible to get the selection for British Triathlon. So
yeah,
it's just so stacked right now. So yeah, it's good to see. It definitely pushes me on to try and work on my swimming and biking. I always think that if I can match some of these guys on the swim and the bike, then I can be up there. But yeah, it's a strange sport, triathlon, because this year, like some races, those guys will beat me by miles, and then other races like this weekend, I go and win. So yeah, it's just very inconsistent. Some weeks you win, some weeks you lose. So yeah, it's crazy to see.
So that race, that gold in Miyazaki could open the door for an Abu Dhabi start for you, could it?
Technically, yes, I think so. Although I don't think my world ranking is high enough. I think I'm ranked 100th or 101st now. Um, and I think the ranking will have to be a lot higher than that to get a start. So realistically, yeah, probably not. Um, which is a shame because I feel like sometimes my racing would be easier at the World Triathlon Series than some of these World Cups or even like a British Super Series race. Just because the swim and the bike is so much kind of there tends to be more breakaways at that kind of level than if you look at the World Triathlon Series. A lot of the races tend to come together. So if I can kind of get myself in front of a few people, maybe like Blumenfeld or um, Richard Murray or someone on the swim. I know that they're going to come flying past on the bike, but if I can hold the wheel and the race comes together, then I should be up there. But yeah, for some of these races, like at Super Series this year, I just there's a breakaway gone, and then there's no one. Good enough on the bike to close the gap, and so some of those races are a lot tougher than what it would be at the top level. So yeah, we'll see what happens next year.
Saw some the inevitable research in the loosest sense of the word for this interview, and obviously trawling your Instagram. Sorry, not sorry for, but there was
It's
the great
okay.
photos of you and Alex Yee from, I think was it 2015 or no, maybe not that. Yeah, I think it was.
Oh,
And Ben Dykstra all looking very
yeah.
fresh faced and yeah. What so you and Alex go quite a long way back, do you? Or at least since your
Yeah,
racing.
yeah. I mean, we've raced each other since I don't know, like 13 years old, 12 years old. Ben Dykstra as well. We've been fairly local rivals for a few years. Because he's from Leicester, I'm from Derby, and we race each other from under 11s really. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of the photo. I think that might have been at the London Mini Marathon. So yeah, a few years ago now, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that I'm doing triathlon now because at that time I was just a runner. And at that time I was looking up to Alex and Ben because they were doing so well in triathlon. Um, so I always kind of had this inkling to move to triathlon eventually, but I was never sure when that was going to happen.
The was the bike like a particularly difficult thing to slot in? It's that sort of aggressive, just being so close to that many other bikes at those sort of speeds. Yeah, it's not a natural situation to find yourself in, particularly as a runner, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest challenge in triathlon at the minute. Um, it's just working on that technical bike stuff. For me, I just haven't been biking from a young age, and I've missed out on doing bike races and having the bike skills. I mean, I've been cycling for a few years now, and generally my bike power on a turbo trainer or on a bike is decent. But it's completely different, going on a technical bike course and putting down that power coming out of a dead turn. And obviously being in a big group is just not something I'm not used to. Um, but then I look at stories like Beth Potter, and she's come from a very similar background in terms of running background, and then having to learn the bike in a way. And so, if she's capable of doing that, then I think I can do it as well. But yeah, it takes time to be comfortable riding in a big group and um, being technically good on a bike. And so that's definitely something that I'm still working on. And I had a crash in May this year on the bike, and I was racing at the World Duathlon Champs, and yeah, I just someone clipped my wheel in front and came off, and yeah, that was kind of my first major bike crash in a race, and it kind of shocked me a bit. Broke my ribs, got a lot of road rash on my arm, on my shoulder, and yeah, it took a few months before I was kind of out riding my bike again comfortably. There's a few rides afterwards where I was just a bit shaky and a bit taken back by riding my bike. So I feel like I'm improving quite a lot now and feeling a lot more confident in bike groups, which is good.
And bolting on those experiences of each, from a European Cup to a World Cup is obviously there's quite a jump there. And then, yeah, like that first time you find yourself riding with a Hayden Wild or a Christian Blumenfeld, and hopefully have the presence of mind to sort of take a bit of stock of what's going on around you, right? And just like absorbing those sort of environments.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest thing is just each race I do is just looking at what I'm doing wrong or areas where I could work on, and just actually working on those for the next race. And I think even though some of my performances have been up and down this year, generally my skills on the bike and my confidence on the bike have been growing with each race. And in Miyazaki, it was the first time where I felt actually confident and comfortable on the bike. I wasn't scared to, you know, take take risks on the bike and overtake people and get to the front. Then in a lot of races this year, I've kind of just sat at the back and I've been scared to overtake, and I've been expecting people to crash in front. So, I've left a bit of a gap between my wheel and theirs. And I think in Miyazaki, I kind of, even though it wasn't perfect, I think it was a big improvement from where I've been riding. So yeah, that was good to see.
And just talking about the battle for start positions, whether it's Abu Dhabi or another World Cup and your kind of world ranking and so on, is there, in the aftermath of that Miyazaki race, it's your fourth World Cup, you've taken the gold, there's plenty of guys on there, British on the team that, have been slogging it out and trying to get those medals and podiums.
I think generally in triathlon, the best triathlete wins pretty much all the time. And yeah, I don't think it's down to luck that someone wins. I think if you win or you do well, then it's because you put in the work. And so yeah, even though I've been doing it for triathlon for 2 years, I've put in a lot of work on my swim and my bike, and obviously I was already a runner before, so yeah, I don't think it's that much of a shock to suddenly win some of these races. I think it's been very realistic, but yeah, I can understand some frustration from people that have been doing this for 10, 15 years and haven't reached that level yet, and then suddenly a runner comes in and does it in 2 years. It probably is frustrating, but yeah, it's difficult because at the minute I feel like in most of the races I'll probably lose. If there's a breakaway or if the conditions aren't suited to me, then I'll probably finish outside the top 20. But then occasionally, when things do go right, I'll win or make the podium. And so I think for me now, the biggest thing is to work on that consistency and know that if I turn up to a World Cup or whatever race it is, that regardless of whether there's a breakaway or the conditions, I can have a good swim, make the chase pack or the front pack, and be competitive rather than having to rely on essentially a run race.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it's that self-awareness and honesty that you tend to find in triathlon that makes it so sort of refreshing as a sport as well. But there's everything from the starts to the funding as well, right? It's kind of inevitable that everyone's looking over their shoulder. There's a finite amount, and having
Mhm.
your Alexes and Beths doing what they're doing must open doors as well, right? It must at least keep a larger pool of funding there, maybe. But yeah, it's tricky, with there's only so many mouths that can be fed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for world class, I think it's about 20 athletes a year that they're allowed, and so looking at the amount of quality of triathletes in the UK now, there's at least maybe 15 guys that can get on there, and then maybe I don't know, maybe 10, 15 girls as well. So yeah, it's definitely very competitive for those spots.
Just another last little bit of social media trawling was quite a remarkably sort of David Luiz esque young and playing
Yeah.
football, and the haircut that returned, or was it scythed off during lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, it was starting to look a bit like Sideshow Bob during lockdown. So yeah, I got it all shaved off a couple of years ago. But yeah, I've always had really really curly hair. Always had a massive afro growing up, and so yeah, people probably remember me from doing cross country when I was younger, running about with a massive afro. Um, and yeah, I think now I'm kind of past that. I don't really want a giant afro. It's just an absolute pain to take care of, and I'm not sure if I could probably fit a swim cap over it if it was like that now. So yeah, I think I'm
Yeah.
sticking with the shorter hair definitely.
And Kenji Nena, has he been trolling you about table tennis? Is this the thing? Have you? Who's better?
Oh no, I'm definitely better. I don't know what it is, but I'm just really good at table tennis. I mean, I played tennis for my county and for my local tennis club a few years ago. And so, yeah, I guess it kind of just translated from that. And then I have a table tennis table in my house. And during lockdown, I played with my dad pretty much every day. Um, and then I was in Font on a training camp with Kenji last year, and we played table tennis almost every day. And I mean, I'm not even lying here, but I would absolutely destroy him in every single game. And he just got so
Coming
mad
back
that
for
he just
more.
wanted, honestly, yeah, he was just desperate to play. And so many of the guys there were just trying to beat me. I just don't know what it was. It just, yeah, just naturally was very good at table tennis. And yeah, I think he's still a bit bitter about that. So,
I think him and Taylor Spivey even had a grudge match. So my mission for next year's World Cup circuit is to get just one of those like traveling roll up nets, and I'm just gonna get a little regular ongoing ladder or something for the circuit. So if you're up for that,
yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
get that on. Brilliant. Well, thanks ever so much, Hugo. It's been good to hear your story, catch up, and I guess to set the tone for next year. You don't really know quite what it looks like yet or how it's going to shape up. The ambitions are obviously Olympic sized, but it's one step at a time, is it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously Olympics has always been my aim, but yeah, whether I'll make it to Paris or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, just taking it one step at a time at the minute. If I can, you know, consistently podium and do well at European and World Cups, then um, that would be good enough for me right now. And then, we'll progress from that later on. In terms of getting the criteria, I mean, I assume I'd have to do a World Triathlon Series race next year and maybe podium. Um, but then equally, I think I'd have to get my ranking inside the top 30, which I don't know if that's even possible. So yeah, I'm slightly pessimistic about it, whether it will actually happen. But all I can do right now is work as hard as I can, perform as well as I can, and yeah, we'll see what happens next year.
I mean, you climbed the small number of 51 places to get into the top 100, courtesy of Miyazaki. So yeah, I mean, it's tight, isn't it? There's Max Stapley's 93, Sam Dixonson's 76th at the moment, Jack Willis 65th, and then Barclay Azard is 40th. He's the next highest behind Alex. So
Yeah,
interesting.
it's going to be interesting to see.
And Johnny Brownlee, obviously. He's there.
Mm.
Good. Well, we wish you well. We look forward to seeing you out there next year in 24 and seeing what these table tennis skills are all about as well.
Thank you.
Nice one. Thanks, Hugo.